Good day to you. How mad do you get at political commercials? You know, when it's that time of year and you have ads going on your television almost every second when there's not regular programming and it's for a political candidate slamming another political candidate. How mad do you get? Does that make you mad? I don't know. We're not in a campaign season right now. Maybe you're not feeling the vividness of the moment of it, but I know I get upset at some commercials and I have to wonder to myself, why is that happening to me? Why am I getting upset at a commercial on my television? And I want you to ask that same question right now because that's what this class is all about. That's what media criticism, CMST 348, is all about. It's about understanding the impact that media have on the way that we think, believe, and we feel. That's what we're going to be taking on in this class. In 15 weeks, we're taking on media criticism. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Rob McKenzie. I'm the chairperson of the Department of Communication, and I'm also a professor here at East Stroudsburg University. I'm in my 30th year. I'm also the university advisor to WESS Radio. If you have any interest in getting involved in college radio, it's a blast. I still do a radio show. I do the Stones Hour every Tuesday night from 6 to 7. If you're interested in that experience at ESU, please let me know. And also, I'm the acting graduate coordinator for our department. I recruit students for our master's degree. We do have a master's degree. It's 15 months. We also have an accelerated program that goes along with that master's degree. The accelerated program allows students to take up to 9 credits or 3 courses in our graduate program while they're undergraduate students. And that allows them to save money because the tuition is less expensive. It allows them to get 18 credits for the price of 9, and it allows them, best of all, to shorten that master's degree from 15 months to just 1 year. So those are some of my roles here at ESU that I want to just let you know about in case you have any questions about the major or any of our programs. And I'm sure you've gotten a lot of that background by reading my curriculum vitae as well. And thank you very much for those questions. I'm continuing on to answer those. But my task in this video today is to go over the syllabus with you and then also to set up our very first class, which is going to be on Chapter 1. It's all about introducing the concept of critical media studies, so that's what this video is going to handle as well. So let's get to it. If you want to bring up the syllabus, it's on D2L under the Content tab. If you bring it up, this is CMST 348 Media Criticism. This class is a Level 2 writing class. That's what it's called. That's a general education requirement, and that means it has to be writing intensive. So you can expect to do a lot of writing in this class, in the discussion posts mainly, and you can expect to be graded on your ability to write. So I just want to say that up front. Okay, so there's my name at the top of the syllabus, Rob McKenzie. I'm perfectly comfortable being called Rob or Robert or Dr. McKenzie or Roberto. I like my Spanish name a lot. That's fine with me. I do have a PhD from Penn State University. I studied ancient rhetoric. I studied international broadcasting. I studied critical media studies. That's why I like teaching this class. I also have an MA from Penn State, also in communication. And then I have a history bachelor's degree in history, a BA from Millersville University. My office phone number is there, but that's not the best way to get in touch with me. I have to be in the office to get the message. So the best way is by my email address. I answer my emails very quickly throughout the day. My office hours this semester are going to be a little bit unusual because we're still on the back end of this pandemic, hopefully. So I've got Monday 11 to 1 p.m. That's by phone. I'll only hold those hours by phone. Tuesday, I've got 11 to 12 where I'll be in the Monroe building in 322. And then Tuesday, I have other times where I'm going to be in at WESS Radio, which is in the McGarry building. And that's 12 to 1 and also 6 to 7. You want to see WESS Radio, come up to the McGarry building. Then we've got Wednesday 11 to 1, back to phone only. And then Thursday 11 to 1. I have those hours in the Monroe building in my Monroe office 322. If you want to meet with me, you have to make an appointment. It's got to be done with our secretary, Marina, at mcameron@esu.edu. Her phone number's right there. So what's the main objective for this course? I've got it right here in the syllabus. I want you to study a variety of critical perspectives. We're going to be doing that in this book right here. I'll introduce it in a moment. Study a variety of critical perspectives to analyze and interpret how media potentially, we're always guessing, always speculating, of course reasoned speculation, but we're still speculating, how media potentially affect human thought, human behavior, and human feelings. This is the book for the class. I've used it a few times now. Every chapter is a different perspective. So we're going to take on feminist analysis. We're going to take on critical cultural analysis. We're going to take on organizational analysis, rhetorical analysis. We're going to take on a lot of different perspectives in this class. Each chapter is a different perspective. It's called Critical Media Studies. It's by Brian Ott and Robert Mack. You can get that from the university store. Continuing on the syllabus now, we will be using D2L, Desire to Learn as it's known. If you need any help, there's a help desk number for you there. Next up, I have some departmental outcomes, but I'm not going to read them out. These are outcomes for all of our courses, no matter what you're taking. We expect you to get, if you're taking a communication course, we're expecting you to achieve those outcomes on the syllabus. I do have course outcomes. My course outcomes are for you to analyze and interpret different theoretical perspectives to criticize media. I also want you to analyze and interpret how the media production conventions, our regular way of doing media, like radio in this country has ads every few minutes and it always starts at the top of the hour and ends at the bottom of the hour. That's how radio goes. That's a production convention. So we're going to analyze production conventions of media and how that affects our thoughts, our feelings, and our behaviors. We're also going to analyze how media ownership affects thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. What does it mean that just a few companies own most of the media properties out there? And what kind of control really do they have over the content in their media properties? We're going to analyze that. We're also going to analyze how audience uses of media content affect the way that they think and communicate. You know, when you watch media, you can have relationships with people that are imitating the characters on the TV shows that you're watching. I mean, how is that? We're going to analyze that. And then finally, we're going to compare and contrast media content across different media forms. The format for this course, because it is an online class and we have a lot of students in it, 23 students, I'm not going to do a simultaneous, remote synchronous, 3-hour-long Zoom session. I tried it last year when I taught this course with less students. It's just too many students. So the format for the course is going to be based on student interest, right? The old style of schooling was if you got the privilege to have an education, you wanted to engage your professor. And so that's what my format is based around. It's going to go like this. From 4 to 5 o'clock on Thursdays, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m., there will be a video that I will create, like this one, that I'll post on D2L, and you'll be able to log on and watch that video from 4 to 5. Okay, also at 4 o'clock, by 4 o'clock, every class except for today, because it's the first class, you're going to be turning in a chapter summary. And I'll say more about that when we get to that on the syllabus. You're going to turn in that chapter summary. That's going to come up, and you're going to post that on D2L by 4 o'clock every day. So 4 o'clock, a lot's happening. Instructor video's ready, your poster's ready, your summary's ready. And then from 5 to 6, I'm just going to be on Zoom. The Zoom link is on the website here. That's what you're logging on. Your Zoom link is there. I'm just going to be on Zoom, and I want you to log on and talk with me about concepts if you want. I'm going to be all prepped and ready to go. If there's something you don't understand, something you want to extend, something you want to add your own ideas to, jump on Zoom. I'm going to be on Zoom for you. That 5 to 6 time frame, that's what that's going to be for. And then from 6 to 7, I'm going to have a media content sample posted for you on D2L, and you're going to take a look at that media content sample, and then you're going to be posting on that from 6 to 7 p.m. So we kind of got like 3 different things going on during every Thursday. We got the 4 to 5 hour, the 5 to 6, and the 6 to 7. Let's get into the assignments now, the course requirements, continuing on with the syllabus. We've got chapter summaries. 30 points are coming out of this assignment, 30 out of 100. There's 14 chapters, so you'll do 14 chapter summaries. The very first one normally would have been due today. Instead, it's going to be due tomorrow by 5 o'clock. Friday by 5 o'clock on D2L. The link is already open for you there. You're going to be posting in 190 to 200 words. You're going to be posting a summary of the chapter. That's what you're going to be doing for your... Sorry, I need to change that. You're going to be posting in 390 to 410 words. 390 to 410 words, you're going to be posting your chapter summaries. And the guidelines are posted for you there on D2L. From here on out, next Thursday, by 4 o'clock, you're going to be posting your Chapter 2 summary. You're going to be posting that. That's getting you to do the reading. That's getting you to struggle with the ideas on your own. That's why when you come online, it's starting next week at 5 o'clock, you'll be able to get right to those concepts that you want more clarification on. All right, next up we have discussion response posts. Discussion response posts, there's also 14 of these. And I'll be posting a question that's going to be based on the chapter readings, and you're going to be applying the chapter readings and the question to the media sample that you're going to be taking a look at in that 6 to 7 hour. And so those are going to be due by Friday at 5 o'clock. And that's the way the normal pattern will be starting next week. Your chapter summaries will be due at 4 o'clock when we start class. And then your discussion response post based on the sample that I post, sample of media content, plus your readings, plus your own knowledge, those are going to be due Friday at 5 o'clock. So Thursday, Friday, Thursday, Friday. Now, technically speaking, you only get 28 points because there are 14 posts. Each one is worth 2 points. It gives 28 points. So I just give you the extra 2 points for both of those assignments. Chapter summaries and discussion response posts. You're just going to get 2 points from me each for those, 4 points overall at the end of the course. The other assignment for this class is a final paper. It's worth 40 points. You're going to be writing a 10 to 12 page research paper, and you're going to compare and contrast 2 of these perspectives in that paper. So as you go through the book, as you go through the class, keep your eye on what perspectives you really like, or which ones are intriguing to you, or which ones are frustrating that you want to come back and write your final paper on. Next up on the syllabus, I have my grading scale there. You can see excellent, above average, average, below average, and inadequate, which corresponds with A, B, C, D. You can see that. If you need assistance or accommodations because you have a disability as certified by the Office of OASIS, please let me know and I'll make those accommodations. I have a plagiarism policy for you here, basically stating what happens if you do steal other people's material and present it as your own. We don't want to be doing that, right? It's stealing. That's what it is. It's international property theft. If there are any cases, I turn it over to the Office of Student Conduct and they investigate. Sadly, I had a student who was busted for that last semester. All right, now is on to the tentative schedule of events. You'll see that we're taking on Chapter 1 here. I'm going to be moving to that shortly. Then after that, you're going to be doing your assignments. And then next week, we're going to be moving on to a Marxist analysis. That's going to be our very first kind of analysis. We'll take that on next week. But for now, we're going to switch gears and talk about critical media studies. I got my notes on my other computer over here. That's why I'm moving my phone. Critical media studies. What is that all about? We use that term critical quite a bit here in the university. We talk about having critical thinking, for example. That's really what this course is all about. It's learning how to apply critical media studies. Yeah, to study media from a critical standpoint. So what is that all about? Let's talk first about how we know what we know in life. I mean, big question, right? Big philosophical question. How do we know what we know? Well, one way is somatically. Somatically. Probably a new word to you, Somatically, somatically. That means we learn through our direct senses, through our sensory perceptions, through our nose, through our mouths, through our ears, through our skin, through our sight. Those 5 senses. That's how we take in media, right? You know, some of the greatest scholars in media have actually said that we use media to extend our senses. We're not just watching TV, we're making TV like a third eye on the world. So that's one way that we know, or we think we know, what we know. And then we also know symbolically. Symbolically is what we know through something or through somebody else. So you don't know about England, you've never been there, but you hear that when you get there, you will see a double-decker bus. Okay, that's knowledge, but it's symbolic knowledge because you learned it from somebody else. You didn't learn it from yourself. And that's how we mainly use media, right? That's how we learn about Thailand and Japan and Mexico. It's about learning about these countries through media. It's also how we learn about California in some circumstances, how we learn about how New Orleans is dealing with a hurricane. That's symbolic message. So mass media are in the middle, right? They come in between us and the actual knowledge. And actually most of our knowledge is media is mass mediated. Most of our knowledge comes through our phones, comes through books, doesn't come through our direct experience in the world. So it's not unimportant to look at media as a source of knowledge in our lives. And before there were mass media, before the Gutenberg printing press, which you learned about in your intro to mass media class, before that, the spoken and the written word was the primary means for conveying information. Before we had TV, before we had radio, before we had newspapers, it was the spoken and written word, and that word had to be carried. If you wanted to have long distance communication, you could write a letter and then it had to be carried. right? Carried to another place. It takes time and distance and energy. But all that went away with electronic media. You can send a message, you can send a text to your friend in Italy right now, and they get it right now. So now let's talk about categorizing mass media, because that is a very broad term, media. It's a very, very broad term. In this class, it just refers to any representation of a message that's being conveyed to lots of people, hundreds, millions of people. So that could be a t-shirt. This ESU is mass media. It could be a drawing on a cave. It could also be, of course, a television program, a web page. It includes legacy media, the old school media, radio, TV, newspapers, film. It includes the new media, internet media, social media, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, etc. So we're talking about a broad term when we're talking about media in this class. And if I didn't make it clear already, mass media collapse the distance between the source of the content and the audience. That distance is no longer an issue. I did mention a moment ago that print media are legacy media. Print media are legacy media, and they are also the very first mass media to have been developed. And the Gutenberg printing press, which I mentioned, was developed in 1450, and that let knowledge to be spread all over the world, to go all over the world. And because you could produce a book and a newspaper very quickly, you could produce multiple copies of it. So the original texts were religious texts. That was media content. The original media content was religious, and then later it evolved into just flat out Kardashian type entertainment. After the printing press, then we get motion and sound recordings. So we get film, we get the telegraph, if you know about that invention. We get Thomas Edison invented the phonograph, which captures sound, and then later the kinetoscope, which is the forerunner to a film projector. All of this happened just little whiles away from East Stroudsburg University, just outside of New York, where you still have the Thomas Edison National Park there. But media changed there. All of a sudden now we have the ability to record sounds, to record video, to record motion, and to play that back in big size screens. And so it's a whole other dimension of media that emerges when we get electronic media that today really just still is sort of the main way we think of media being delivered, is delivered electronically through our phones, through our televisions, through our screens in our lives. So what's also going on now because of the internet is convergence. It's where everything is coming together on our phones. And we're looking at our phones to look at newspapers. We're looking at our phones to watch a Netflix series. We're looking at our phones to take a college class. And if we're not looking at our phones, we're looking at a tablet or a laptop, or maybe a screen, a monitor on the wall. That's what convergence is all these individual media, radio, TV, newspapers, print media, coming together, converging onto single devices. And in some cases, it's easy. It's easy to go on YouTube and watch random people making YouTube videos, but it's not easy to download a song, because then you're stealing music, right? So some ways convergence is easy, some ways it's not. Something else we have to contend with in this new media environment that makes us critical media consumers, that's what we want to be by the end of this class, is realizing that media today are more mobile than they have ever been. They come with us. We walk with them. I pass students all the time on campus, and I'm just like this to myself, and typing, texting, checking email. Yeah, I'm bringing my email. I'm bringing my life with me as I walk. Media are very mobile. You plug in your phone and you've got what you want. Can't get more mobile than that yet. Can't take your phone in the ocean. Not most of them. Most people don't take it in the shower. Most people have to be around a power outlet most of the time because their phone needs charging. Something else that's going on in our media environment today is fragmentation. Fragmentation, that's splintering the audience. Back in the old days of television, the 1970s, there were only 4 choices. You had ABC, CBS, NBC, and PBS. That's all you could watch on television. Then along comes cable and satellite, and then the internet and streaming services and subscription services. So now we don't have this huge audience of 100 million people watching an NFL game on CBS on Monday night, because that's only one of 4 choices that they have. Instead, we have individual channels like the Golf Channel, and we have individual websites like a Nike website. The audience has gotten fragmented and smaller. Also, what we have going on at the same time is globalization. Globalization is also affecting our media environment. We need to know about it to be critical media consumers. It's the idea that the world is coming closer together. The countries, the cultures, the governments, the people are coming closer together because of the internet. I mean, you know right now what Hawaii looks like, but you've probably never been there. You know about it because the internet has shown you what Hawaii looks like. Somebody had a cooking show there, or somebody went on vacation. You've seen somebody's photos on Facebook or whatever. We know about places through media, and it's bringing us closer together across the world. You know, TV shows are being shown all around the world in the same format, but with slight variations, like American Idol. American Idol is Pop Idol in the United Kingdom. Same format, but obviously different people. It's globalization. Now let's take on a conceptual term. A conceptual term, we're starting to get into philosophers and how they talk about media. We draw on the work of a lot of philosophers in this class. Jean Baudrillard. Jean Baudrillard was a Frenchman. He wrote this book called Simulacra and a book called Simulation. And in those books, he talked about how media are presenting a distorted representation of an external reality. Distorted representation. The images that we see of love, violence, and just the way that people get along on sitcoms and dramas are not real. Those are not real. Video gaming, that's not real. You can't really kill people like that like you do. Playing a guitar like you can on Rock Guitar on Wii is not really real. So, but at the same time, it feels real. It feels real. So that's what Jean Baudrillard is trying to talk about with Simulacra and Simulation. He's saying that this generation right now has a feeling of reality. We even call it reality television, Big Brother, but it's not real. But it brings that illusion of reality. So all of this brings us to the really big question, why study media? Why study media? Well, there are a few reasons for that. That's what we're doing in this class. We're studying media. It's because media have gone from one institution amongst many to being the very basis of our culture. Mass media are producing our culture every single day. You watch how a baseball game is broadcast, that's our culture. That's American culture right there. It is American culture to want to see advertisements during the Super Bowl as much as wanting to see the game itself. That's American culture. Hollywood films create imagery all across the world. We know that Cuba and Russia and China are really bad countries with evil people because we've seen so many films with villains that are from those countries. So media has gone from just an institution to being the basis of our culture. That's why we need to study it. And also, media have subsumed caretakers in society. That is, those institutions that used to guide people to learning morals, like, well, some people say church, I don't, but some people say church, or leaders, or teachers, or bosses. Media instead have kind of taken over to teach us values, like whether it's good or not to get a tattoo, whether it's good or not to vape or not. I mean, we get those values more from media today than ever before. And also media are primarily responsible for our socialization. They introduce us to other people and help us get along with human beings. We see how others act, and that in turn helps us know how to react to somebody when they're saying something similar to somebody in the media. What we learn when we study media is we learn about the content of media. We learn about whether the content is accurate or fair, whether it has use to us, whether it's meaningful. That's all looking at the content, the messages. But we're also going to be looking at the form of media in this class, the way the content is packaged and delivered. You know, when you see a film on television, it's a whole lot different than the theater. No advertisements in the theater. In television, it's formatted completely differently. You have advertisements, and they have to edit the film to get those in. So we are going to be doing critical media studies in this class. It is an umbrella term. It basically refers to these dimensions. When you're performing critical media studies, you are, number one, skeptical. You're having a skeptical attitude, which doesn't mean you don't believe something. What it means is you think there's more than meets the eye. There's more than meets the eye to this TV show, to this webpage, to this newspaper, to this Snapchat message than an initial glance will reveal. So you want to be skeptical. Secondly, you want to be humanistic. You want to be humanistic, and what that's all about is universities have divided subject areas into different disciplines. That's why you have a psychology major, a communication major, a biology major, etc. And so when we're doing critical media studies, we're doing studies within the humanities, We're not going to be doing a lot of analyzing statistics and numbers like they do in sciences. We're going to be using conceptual approaches about human beings and the way that they think. It's a humanistic approach. It's part of this umbrella term, media studies. We're also going to be doing political assessment. Political assessment is trying to decide what the implications are of the media content, like who suffers and who wins, and who becomes powerful and who doesn't. That's what a political assessment is all about. And finally, we're going to look at social justice. Social justice, it's a big feature in all of our communication classes. Achieving equality between genders, between races, between really all kinds of diversities of people. We're going to be doing that under the umbrella term of critical media studies. We want to have a better world. That's what we're trying to do. So that takes us finally to the concept of theory. We are going to be talking about a lot of theory in this class. That's what we're doing, applying theory. Theory is an explanatory and an interpretive tool that tries to explain the world. That's what theory is all about. It's explaining the world, trying to reveal those blind spots. It involves description. We're going to be describing what we see. It involves an analysis. That means pinpointing key components of the media content that we want to key in on. It involves interpretation. That is, assigning meaning to what we're seeing. What does that mean? It involves synthesis, and that's connecting the media theory to the form and the content of the media. Connecting the theory to the form. That's what I'm having you do in your discussion responses. Also, it involves criticism. Criticism is all of what we've just talked about, but it's not criticism in the traditional way that people think of criticism. It's not saying this is wrong, that's bad. That's not what we mean. Criticism is pulling something apart. It's understanding how something works by pulling it apart through analysis, through description, through synthesis, and then you arrive at criticism. And criticism, you can talk about what you think is right or wrong, but you're not just offering an opinion that's not anchored to theory. Instead, you're going to be informed by theory when you render an opinion. And that will make you a media critic. And that'll make you a person who belongs in this class, media criticism. Have a great day or a great rest of the evening.